Is it time for the Jets to consider putting Mekhi Becton on the shelf for the rest of the year? It might be, but it's definitely time for Rex Ryan to move on with his life. I'm Glen Nance with Jet Nation Radio AM and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com to register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. As you've likely heard by now, Jets head coach Robert Saleh said that left tackle Mekhi Becton, who he said just a week or two ago was a couple of weeks away, is now 3 weeks away from getting on the practice field. And Saleh did double back. Could be me reading into it too much, but he sounded a lot more certain when he said 3 weeks than when he doubled back and said 1 to 3 weeks, maybe 1 week. So is that him just trying to spread a little optimism and not so much with the doom and gloom? We'll know in time. Maybe it's completely legit. Maybe Becton is practicing next week and he's on the field in 2 or 3. It's possible. However, if we go off of his initial response, which was 3 weeks, again sounding a bit more confident and saying that Becton needs to get in football shape, are we talking a week of practice? Are we talking 2? Are we talking 3? Let's settle in the middle and say 2. That puts Mekhi Becton 5 weeks away from getting back on the field. At that point, do you just put him on the shelf for the year and say, look, rather than play you in a couple of meaningless games, let's make sure you're right going into next season? It's definitely worth considering, again, if this is a 3-week injury or 3 more weeks before practice and a couple of weeks after that until he's game ready. Now, in terms of being game ready, Saleh was asked if the Jets, if this was an issue with Mekhi Becton being out of shape. Saleh did not say that it was. He said it was a matter of being in football shape, which those are 2 different things. So I've already seen, he's fat, he's out of shape. People saying the same things they said about him in the preseason. Not the case. No evidence of this at all. I mean, we literally have images of him at practice, in games, in the gym, at that time, and at no point was he fat. I mean, was he huge? Yes. Do you know why? Because he's 6'9", and he's an NFL offensive lineman. But this isn't a guy, you're not seeing a gut hanging over his belt. This isn't a fat guy. This is a big human being. Back, shoulders, wider than his waist. He's a big dude. Big doesn't mean fat. And as I said, everyone points to when Robert Saleh said he needs to take care of himself. That could have been any number of things. That could have been maintaining his weight. That could have been stretching better. That could have been being more aware of, how to play in a way that kept himself safe. Because after those comments, Becton posted videos of himself working out 5 or 6 days later, not fat at all. So this is one of those things where a coach said something that someone else interpreted another way, and it gets repeated in that way, and everyone just jumps on because it's easy and it's lazy, and we like to beat up our own players. So, Becton's a big dude. That's part of the reason why the injury is taking longer to heal than anticipated, but the Jets have to be ready for any eventuality. I asked the other day, if Becton comes back healthy when projected, which would have been a week or 2 from now, and stays healthy the rest of the way, that's obviously not going to happen in terms of him coming back, or it appears very unlikely that he'll be back in that time frame. And I asked, do you trade George Fant? Because Fant has 1 year left on his deal. He has trade value, and you're not getting a comp pick for him when he walks because you're going to be active in free agency for the next couple of years. This kind of seals it. You keep George Fant, and you expect him to play some games next year. And if he walks in free agency and you get nothing, so be it. But as it stands, Mekhi Becton, whether it was a freak injury or not, which it was, this setback plus the injury last year is enough evidence for the Jets to say we've got to have another capable left tackle on the roster. So I think you keep Fant around, you try to get Becton rehabbed, and this is unfortunate because for Jets fans, this was one of, at least in my mind, this was the last big thing we had to look forward to this year with the season being over. I mean, the season was over 6 weeks ago. But seeing Mekhi Becton play alongside Elijah Vera Tucker, I was excited about that. And I think a lot of Jets fans were, and they had reason to be. It appears, again, this entirely possible. Not ruling out the possibility of Becton being back on the field in 3 weeks. The football, like the game day on the field. But it appears he's 3 weeks away from being on the practice field with some additional time on top of that. So, time to worry, absolutely. Is he fat? No. Or it hasn't. Listen, we haven't seen the guy in a couple months. For all we know, he could have put on 30 pounds while he's been waiting for his knee to heal up. I would sure as hell hope not. And I would imagine, with the program that he's a part of with Duke Manyweather, I couldn't really see that happening. But that's the situation with Becton. You got to figure he's 3 weeks away from getting on the field. I'm sort of talking worst case scenario here. Then a couple weeks to get in football shape. You're looking at 5 weeks till he's back on the field. Worst case scenario. No, nobody's saying this is in stone. The other thing that popped up, Robert Saleh went on the Michael Kay show. Michael Kay mentioned to him that former Jets head coach Rex Ryan, who I was a huge fan of. I loved Rex Ryan. Loved him. Went on ESPN or went on wherever and said, don't dare compare me to this guy because this team is blah, 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 blah. And he was talking about the Jets giving up 1 million points a game, which he's right. They are very poorly coached right now. He's right. But I don't hear anyone meaningful making these comparisons that Rex Ryan is talking about. This is a case of Rex Ryan, shocker, making things about Rex Ryan. Nobody cares what Rex Ryan has to say about the Jets. This is sort of a public attempt to get his job back. Not happening. Rex is gone. Saleh's the guy right now. Saleh said if Rex has a problem, he knows where to find me. Listen, handle it how you want. You're a grown man. My opinion, the best response would have been, I'm a coach, I don't talk about broadcasters. Or, Rex Ryan, never heard of him. Don't know who you're talking about. I'm focused on football right now. That would, again, that's just my 2 cents. But Rex is being Rex by making it about Rex. And listen, is there an element of, you got to get clicks, look, I'm here talking about it. It's on Twitter. It's on the forums of Jet Nation. People are talking about it. That's Rex Ryan's new job, to say things that people will talk about. But this to me seems, I don't think this would have taken much coaxing for Rex to jump on the air and say, don't compare me to Robert Saleh, I'm better than him. That's just him being him, but he needs to move on and accept the fact he's a broadcaster now. Probably won't ever be a coach again. Listen, thanks for the playoff wins. As a fan of 35, however many years, that was probably the most fun I've ever had as a fan, given the reason I was such a fan of Rex. Who didn't enjoy winning, who doesn't enjoy watching your team go on the road and beat Hall of Fame quarterbacks in playoff games? It was fantastic. But it's over. And it's been over for a while. So move on, talk about the Jets, but don't make it about you when you do. That's it for this one, and we will catch you next time. Take care, Jets fans.